Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day to each and every one of you. I have a best bet on the way for you guys. Just a light little college basketball card. It's not the best card out there, so I'm going to take it a little bit light today. Hopefully you guys can enjoy some time with your friends, with your lovers, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. Let's have a great day today. And you know what? We're going to cash in some bets. This is the free 3. We're going to talk about it real quickly. Let's get into it.
I love it, Noble. Noble, I also love your YouTube videos. I watched them while I was gone. That was fire.
But getting paid because yesterday we had a full sweep. By going under, that was just icing on the cake. Why are we going to go in such a weak AFC South? Unless we have the NBA Blowout Association.
Bang! Knicks take a 1-point lead with 13
When you hear the sirens, you know what that means.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
What is up, my people? It is your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video. I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as we just try to get to the bag together and make that money. Happy Valentine's Day, happy Lover's Day to all my people out there who are celebrating, who are in relationships. Not the biggest fan of the day, if I'm being honest. I think it's just the most ridiculous thing ever, but you know what, I'm not going to get into that. I have been feeling a little bit under the weather since my recent travel, so I do apologize for not having a video yesterday. I went from 80-90 degree weather down south to now it's like 30 degrees where I'm at, so you know what that changing fluctuation in temperature can do for you, right? But for today, I'm going to bounce back. It's been a cold, few weeks for us here on the channel. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I've been this cold, in terms of volatility roller coaster in a while in my gambling. So I took yesterday off to really reset, get my mind right. And I'm kind of doing the same thing today. I'm putting out 1 or 2 plays, but I really encourage you guys to spend time with your lovers, to spend time, with each other, because tomorrow is a loaded college basketball slate. There's no NBA, there's no NHL, there's nothing else to distract us. So we can lock in solely on college basketball. Then we got NBA All-Star on Sunday. Obviously, we've got the festivities tomorrow night as well, 3-point shootout and all that stuff. I'm not really going to have any bets in those plays. I'm not going to lie to you. If you are looking for something in that, just stay tuned on Twitter and on, on Action. I might add a few plays, but, in all honesty, I really just want to take a few days to reset. So this way, coming next week, and then after All-Star break, we're going to hit NBA hard, and then we're also going to hit college basketball, right? In our last video, it wasn't our best day. Like I said, I got a full fade. That's why I'm like, let me take some days off. You can see yesterday I didn't even place any bets because I was like, I need to take the day off. I just wasn't doing good. You can see how we're doing over the last month. We're down some significant coinage. 11 games under 500 here, so we got to bounce back. We got to bounce back. It's not the way that I'm used to gambling. It's not what I'm used to, man. I'm used to winning, and I'm used to winning pretty consistently. So we're going to bounce back. You learn from your losses, and I appreciate y'all who've been sticking with me. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. And for today, we're going to talk about a few college basketball bets real quick. As you can see, as I scroll through the slate real quickly, there's not a whole lot of games on. We've got Columbia and Dartmouth, so we got the Ivy League. We've got the MAAC, the Metro Atlantic. We've taken a few bets this season in that conference with Marist and with Merrimack, and I'm not even touching any of those teams today because the lines are just really short. Marist, let's just look at the records real quickly on ESPN real fast, guys. This is one of the things that I like to do. I like to look at the record and the conference record as well. So we have games today such as, Fairfield, St. Peter's. St. Peter's is 2-10 in conference, but they're getting 5 points at home. We got Marist, that's 9-3 in conference, but they're underdogs to Siena, right? Merrimack, 11-2 in conference, but they're only getting a bucket on the road. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on where the lines are a little bit tricky, where it's a little bit sharp, and I just don't want to touch it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it real simple. Okay, the money line parlays, I'm not gonna lie, we've been losing these by 1 leg, and I would advise you maybe not to take them because money line, parlays, that's what happens sometimes. That's why I don't like to take parlays a whole lot. But there is a parlay today that I think is a bet that's gonna hit. That's a no-brainer. The first one, we're gonna go Kent State. You can see real quickly, they're at home. They're 6-5 at home against Ohio. Ohio's 7-4 in conference, which is impressive. But Kent State is at home. We're getting 5.5 points. We're getting Northern Kentucky here. You can see that Green Bay has not won a single game at home. And then we're going to throw in Yale, and that's just for us to get some extra value because you can see they're at 16.5. That gets us a plus 100, right? The biggest toss-up of this parlay for me is the Kent State bet, and that's like the leg that I'm building around. If you want to build around Princeton, I'm not opposed to it, but they're on the road against Brown. But I do think Kent State is the play. Let's go to KenPom real quickly here to take a look at Kent State. You can see Kent State, they're 6-5 in conference. They've won 3 games in a row, which you like to see 4 of their last 5. So they're playing some really good basketball, but they've been up and down so far in the conference schedule. They lost to Ohio only by 2 points on the road earlier this last month, not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago. And that was a game they really had a chance to win. They actually covered the spread in that game. So for me, when you lose that game by 2 points and you're back at home after you've just won 3 games in a row, that gives me the confidence to take you here, especially when you beat a really good Arkansas State team. You can see here they won that game 76-75. I like that, okay? I don't know why they played Arkansas State because you can see that wasn't even a conference game. That's really rare to see in like the middle of February. But Arkansas State's a really good school. I think that was like maybe a rivalry game or something, or maybe it was a reschedule from earlier in the season. But to see that the form that Kent State is in, and if we look at the Mid-American Conference standings, we've got Akron at 11-0. We've got Miami of Ohio at 10-1. We've got Toledo at 8-3. We've got Ohio at 7-5. And then we've got Kent State at 6-5. So with about 3 or 4 games left inside a conference, you can see every game matters because Toledo, they drop a game or two, they're going from a 3 seed down to a 5 or 6 seed. Same thing with Kent State. You win a game or two and you get Ohio, you win this game against Ohio, you're now tied for 4th and you can move up. And the reason why this is so important is because this is the difference between facing an Akron team, the difference between facing a Miami of Ohio team in the semifinals or in the quarterfinals of the conference tournament. This matters. This is a big game for them. They're at home. They're going to have a rocking crowd, a very tough place to play. I like the Golden Flashes this year. They're known for a offensive team, but defensively, you can see them in strong. 64 in defensive efficiency, 35th in effective field goal percentage, 56 in causing turnovers on the defensive side. They guard the three-point line very strong, which is something that I like to see, especially when they don't hit a whole lot of threes. So this is a team that, yes, they can go cold from the field, and if that happens, then we might lose. That's why I want to take them at home, because their defense is predicated their game is predicated on their defense, and it's easier to do that when you're at home. So I'm taking them. KenPom has this as a 6-point win for them. I'm taking Kent State on the money line. And then for the other legs, like I mentioned, Yale should blow out UPenn here. Yale has yet to lose a game in the Ivy League. They're the best team in the Ivy. And then you can see Green Bay, they have yet to win a game in conference. They're 0-14, 2-23 this year. Meanwhile, Northern Kentucky, they should be able to win that game. So that is the first parlay that we're going with on a quick little money line lay here. We're going to go Yale. We're going to go Kent State. And then we're going to throw in Northern Kentucky here, and you can see that gets us to about plus 102 here. All right, that's our first best bet. Now, our second and final play of the day is the game that you guys are probably gonna watch, the only marquee matchup of the day, between UCLA and Indiana. Now, we're getting a lot of value on Indiana because they just upset Michigan State on the road, and I'm not gonna lie, if I had known that Mike Woodson was gonna announce right before he retired that if he announced right before the game that he's probably gonna retire at the end of the season. And if I had known that, I probably would have bet on Indiana in that game, because that's like kind of one of those things where you just get up for your coach. You're excited, you're motivated. It's a good spot. And sure enough, they did beat Michigan State outright. Nobody was expecting that, especially coming off the fact they just lost 5 games in a row, and you can see they lost 7 of their last 8. But now they beat Michigan State, and we're getting basically a pick-em against UCLA. And I just think that's a little bit of an overreaction. And I'm taking UCLA here on the money line because UCLA is the better team. You can see KenPom has this as a 2-point win here for UCLA, even though the game is on the road. And UCLA, they've been in great form. They strung together several wins, 6 straight victories right here after Nick Cronin called his team soft in this slate of games where they lost 4 games in a row. He got onto their boys. They responded in blood, and you can see they've strung together some great wins against USC, against Wisconsin, against Oregon. But the problem is this game is on the road, which is where we get the value. And if this was Indiana here instead of Illinois, I probably would not take UCLA. But the fact is they already played their first road game of like their East Coast, or this is their Midwest trip, because that's typically what these big conferences have been doing with the scheduling. They're going to put like 2 road games of schools in a similar region together. So Illinois, Indiana, not far from each other. The first game is typically the game that the road team is losing. That's what I've seen this so far in college basketball this season. And this is our first year with these huge conferences, so we got to get used to this, all right, guys? Bear with me, right? And that's maybe one of the reasons why I've been losing some of my bets. So we see them lose their last game to Illinois. They lose that game by 5 points, a tough loss. But now they stay in the Midwest. They don't travel home or anything. And now they travel to Indiana against Bloomington. And I think this is the game that they get right and they grab the W at. You can see for UCLA, they're strong defensively. They're decently offensively. They play the game slow, but I love this stat right here. Number 1 in turnover percentage on the defensive side. They play gritty basketball. They're going to force you to turn over the ball. And if we look at Indiana on the other side, they turn over the ball a decent amount on the offensive side, 185th on the offensive side, and they don't hit a whole lot of threes at only ranked 268 in three-point percentage. So basically, you're playing a strong defense. You don't shoot a lot of threes, and now we're just going to trade 2s for 2s. Well, at that point, we're basically just calling it an even game, and we got to go with the better team at that point, and that's where I think we got to go with UCLA. I know Indiana has a very strong home court advantage. It's a very tough place to play, and it's going to be a beautiful rocking crowd on Valentine's Day, rocking all the red there in Hoosier County, in Hoosier country. But I just don't see Indiana winning this game. I think this was the get-right spot for them. Again, after Mike Woodson said, hey, I'm going to retire at the end of the season, you get your team fired up. Them boys go out there and play for their head coach. Michigan State was a little bit lethargic in that game. I think they just thought they had the game in the bag. It was a bad scheduling spot as well for Michigan State. But now, look at this stretch. UCLA, Purdue, and then you maybe can string out these wins against Penn State and Washington before you lose again against Oregon, Ohio State. There's not a whole lot for Indiana to look forward to here. They really have to win out and then go pretty deep in their conference tournament to even be considered for a shot in the big dance. So they're really not playing for much at all at this point because they don't really have any quality wins on their schedule besides this Michigan State win. So I think this is just a better, more valuable spot for UCLA than it is for Indiana, and I'm just going to take UCLA here, and we're going to lock that in as our final pick of the day. All right, my friends? So for 1 unit or to win 1 unit, that's what we're locking in. Other leans that I'll give you guys while I have you tapped into the live stream is you could do Nevada as a tease piece or as a money line piece. I just don't trust them that much, in all honesty. Because they're just not good, and San Jose State has been upsetting a lot of people this season. Milwaukee, I do like Milwaukee, so if you want to do Milwaukee instead of Kent State, I'm not opposed to that. I do think Harvard will cover the number. Let's just look at the overall spreads real quickly. I do think that Harvard will cover that number. We just have a lot of short spreads that are a little bit iffy. Like I said, Marist at plus 2.5, Quinnipiac at minus 2.5. Some of these lines are just a little bit iffy for me, but I would Merrimack. We've taken them several times this season. I'm not touching them today because this line's a little bit fishy, but I do think that Harvard at plus 6.5 could be worth a look at as well. And then maybe the Princeton at minus 4.5 or on the money line, I'm not opposed to. I think this is going to be a really good game between St. Louis and Loyola. I do lean towards the over here, but those are some of the other picks that I'm taking. But again, we are treading very lightly today because we have a whole lot of college basketball tomorrow, including a marquee matchup between Auburn and Alabama, number 1 versus number 2. So make sure you guys come back tomorrow on the video because I will do a special edition of the free 3 on the weekend. You guys know I typically don't do a full video on the weekend, but I will do one because of the college basketball slate that we have tomorrow. And then also, there's just no NBA, so you guys are going to be looking for something to bet, and who else to go to than one of the guys that actually follows college basketball in the gambling space besides some of these other people who just try to show up for March Madness, right? So I do appreciate y'all for tapping in, but for today, just 2 simple bets. UCLA on the on the money line. Whoops. UCLA on the money line, and then also we're going to go a money line parlay with Kent State, Yale, and Northern Kentucky. That's going to lock us in for today. All right, my friends, that's it for me today. It is your boy Noble Living. Follow me on all socials, Action Network, Twitter. Appreciate y'all for tapping in, and as always, dictate your fate. Spend some time with your lovers today. Don't be all up in your phone, guys. Enjoy the day, and as always, happy Valentine's Day. Love y'all, man. Appreciate all the love and support that y'all show, and let's have a day, and let's get after it. Later, gang.